Good evening and welcome to the Audit and Administration Meeting Committee for December 18th, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Legislator Birmingham, Legislator Crowley, Chairwoman Sage.
Present. I've asked Legislator Adenizio to sit in on the Audit and Administration. Okay. Again, with agenda item number 3, correspondence from the County Auditor. We have 3A, which is the sales tax. Our November sales tax was $6,094,776. It looks like we're on track this year. We will ahead to return sales tax goals for our budget. Any questions or comments on sales tax? Right, moving on to 3B, which is the Board and Revenue. Welcome.
Everybody come. Thanks.
Right here.
Oh, no.
We're on 3B. This is the Board and Revenue. This is revenue that our jail takes in for housing prisoners from outside Putnam County.
Great. Thanks.
Please review it. This is incoming money to Putnam County. 3C is our transfer report for November. Transfers within our county departments. Please review it. And 3D is our Subcontingency Report. This is FYI, money going in and out of our contingency and Subcontingency Report. Any questions or comments from the Legislature? Any questions or comments on any of these in correspondence from the County Auditor from anyone in the public? Okay, moving on to correspondence from Commissioner of Finance. Oscar.
Good evening.
Welcome.
How's everybody doing?
Very
Good. How about you?
Oh, all right.
There we go. We have our Commissioner of Finance, Mr. Bill Carlin, here this evening. We'll start with agenda item 4A, which is an FYI. This is our overtime and temporary report. This gives us an idea of where our departments are as far as overtime is concerned. Any questions or comments from the legislator? Anyone from the public? Moving on to agenda item 4B. This is an approval for a budgetary amendment 25A-059 for the Board of Elections. This is recognizing a grant from the New York State for electronic poll books.
Yes, in fairness to, I did speak to Commissioner Primavera. She couldn't be here tonight, so I told her I would be here to represent her because this is nothing more than accounting for a grant we already received. They've already bought the poll books. I know you've seen them in action through this last election cycle, and this is just recording the grant.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any of the legislator?
Just to know, no fiscal impact.
No.
None.
fiscal.
Nope, just the grant that they used to buy the books.
Anyone from the public? All right, I will make a motion to approve this agenda item. All in favor? Aye. 4C is an approval for a budgetary amendment, 25A-117. This is for the Sheriff's Office. This is to use inmate commissary funds to purchase dual-sided classification printer ribbons and cards. This was reviewed and protected as well. I don't know if the sheriff is here tonight. If he has anything to add to this, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it's straightforward, Madam Chairwoman. Nothing really more to add.
This is in the amount of $3,592.26. There's zero fiscal impact, and this is money that comes out of the inmates' commissary fund. This doesn't come from the taxpayer.
Correct.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
Use the directions.
Any other legislator? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 4C. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, on to 4D. This is an approval for a budgetary amendment 25A120. This is for planning. This was also reviewed in fiscal earlier this month. This is for, to account for Section 5307 Program Funds. Did you have anything to add to this?
No, nothing other than Commissioner Barrosa's probably seen and heard more from me than she would like to,
Yeah.
but now we've gotten these accounts all straightened out, moving forward.
And we have we have Barbara Gross, our Commissioner of Planning, here this evening. I don't know if you have anything to add to this.
No, I wanted to thank Bill for his patience trying to figure this out.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislator? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 4D. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. 4E is an approval for a budgetary amendment 25A122. This is for finance to consolidate and adjust the UPWP accounts. This was also reviewed in fiscal services.
Yeah, I would just reiterate what Barbara said then, and all we're doing is adjusting to reflect the actual results.
This is just accounting
Right,
with zero fiscal impact
correct.
to reflect the actual allocations.
Right.
Just a transfer of $250,075.11 between accounts. Any questions from any of the legislators? Anyone from the public? Make a motion to approve agenda item 5E.
Second.
All in favor? And then to 4F. This is an approval for budgetary amendment 25A123 for finance. This is the year-end journal entry, number 1.
Yep, there'll be a few more. This is the preliminary one that we can do before the end of the year. And then as more of the results get finalized, you'll be getting more.
This is something pretty standard that we do
Yes,
every
we
year.
do every year.
To balance the books, to
Yep,
reflect their actual.
yep, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Most of these reflect the actual retirement bill. That is the bulk of this entry right now. It's just to adjust to the actual retirement bill we received from New York State. You have a letter from Bill Lorix to adjust the actual costs in the preschool program, and so forth and so on.
Any legislators have questions regarding agenda item 4F? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 4F.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 4G is an approval. It's for budgetary amendment 25A124. This is for social services. This is to adjust mental health state aid levels in the amount of $5,000. Did we do this in physical? I mean,
No,
No.
this one came in at the end, and it's a $5,000 award that was received for local outreach for suicide survivors. We had 3 employees who attended a conference back in October for suicide survivors, and we're going to use this funding to offset those costs that were originally county funded. So this is a $5,000 grant or award that we received from December 1st to the 31st to offset those costs.
I remember that, and specifically because the conference took place in my hometown,
Oh.
Nebraska.
How funny.
I'm like, oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, and for those, if you're looking at the backup, the LOSS team is local outreach to suicide survivors. So these are
Yes.
survivors of the families and suicide attempts.
Yes, that's correct.
Any questions or comments from the committee? Any legislators?
Did-
Legislator Elmer?
Madam, through the chair, this is a little off topic, but just remind me of something, because state aid I'm just gonna say aid is down for social services, but don't we have in our assigned fund balance a whole area that is strictly set up to shortfalls in state aid
Yes,
for
yes, if there
mental
is
health?
something. It's not only for mental health, it's for all programs.
Okay, so we can use that, we can transfer that money back to the unassigned fund balance and make sure that DSS gets 100% of what they need to do their job.
The year's over, so it will be what it is now, based on what the final claims are. We'll see
I'm
how the
saying for
accounting
ne-
works
I'm saying-
out.
I'm saying for next year, because that's where there appears to be a shortfall.
Well, that's why you keep it in the assigned fund balance for DSS and mental health and all the other programs. We have a,
Because we have not
right,
discussed that.
yeah, we'll have to
in
see if we
public.
have to use that for 2025, depending on what the 2025 results are.
Okay.
And then anything that's not used there, of course, can be used to balance 2026 if things happen in '26.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from the legislator? Anyone from the public? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 4G. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5 is a resolution for approval. I'd like to make a motion to accept the revised number 5. Second. All in favor? Aye. This is, I don't, do we need to do? This, so we have the revised number 5.
Yes.
This is, the amounts had changed, so we.
Yes, they went up a little, and rather than do 2, we talked to Michelle, it's easier just to revise it and do 1.
And this is just for DPW to cover
Right.
automotive
Yeah.
supplies and expenses through the end of the year.
Through the end of the year, and as long as nothing breaks, we'll see.
Right.
We may have to do anything.
I know, it's so
You never know,
hard.
like I even told them, don't even do the snow and ice one yet, because we don't know what's gonna happen in the next 3 weeks. And
Right.
we'll just do it in year-end entry number 2 in January, when we have a much better number.
Any questions or comments on agenda item number 5?
So you're going to approve the revised one?
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Anyone from the public have any questions or comments? Okay, so I will make a motion to approve the revised agenda item number 5.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'm going to abstain just because I walked in on this, but I'll speak up from here. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6. This is an approval for signature for Fund Transfer 25T467. This is for the Department of Public Works. This is the amount of $7,000 to
Beautiful.
cover automotive repair
Yep.
towing expenses through year end. We're moving money from other maintenance.
Give them a revised 6.
Pardon me?
There's a revised 6.
You know what I did? Do I not have one? I had it, now I saw it.
It just means it's more money.
That's what it means.
4,000 more,
It's
so
just what it
11.
means.
That's what it means.
By 6, thank you.
Right?
Take it and go.
Yeah. So that's, I'll make a motion to accept the revised
That's a little more towing expenses.
Second.
number 6. All in favor?
Aye.
So the revised, it didn't been the original, the revised is, it was increased to $11,000. And again, it's the same transfer, automotive repairing and towing expenses through the year end. And other maintenance. DPW, any questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislators? Anyone from the public? Okay, I will make a motion to approve the revised amount of $11,000 for agenda item number 6.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 7 is for signature.
Yep, it's adjust the chargebacks.
This is reviewed.
So now, the actual for the second and third and the projected for the fourth quarter.
Okay. So, yeah, these are chargebacks for several different lines for the sheriff's department. In the amount of $23,000. This was also reviewed and protected.
It's really just moving money from some automotive lines and some divisions to others. So like from youth to patrol to narcotics. Where we had extra, we moved it to where we needed it, but it's all automotive lines across the board.
Correct.
And this is zero fiscal impact.
Correct.
This is in the budget, just moving from one line to
Correct.
the other.
Exactly.
Just accounting. Any,
Yes, this is the end of the year, is that the
Yes,
quarter?
yep,
Okay.
they're projecting it, yeah.
Right.
okay, any other questions or comments? Anyone from the public? Okay, I will make a motion for signature. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Number 8. This is a fund transfer, 25T454, that was reviewed in physical for the Department of Public Works again. This is to replace the trusses on the animal shelter building at Kelly Foster. This is in the amount of $1,500. It's important that we do our maintenance and repairs in these buildings. Any questions or comments on this item? Any other legislators? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 8. Any seconds?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
9 is an approval for signature again. This is a fund transfer for social services. This is to cover ongoing temporary hours in mental health. This was reviewed previously in personnel. And we have with us Mr. Warner, who is the fiscal manager from
Welcome back.
Department of Social Services.
Thank you.
Welcome again.
Thank you.
I'll let you take care of this one.
Yes, so this is an accounting adjustment. It's all funding within the temp line. One is going from DSS to mental health on how the training was appropriated.
The total amount is $4,000. Again, no fiscal impact.
Yes.
Any further questions or comments from the legislators? Anyone from the public? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve for signature. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 10 is also for signature. This is fund transfer for social services. This is for docking monitors in the amount of $3,312.
So this is similar to number 9. This is a fund transfer from computer equipment to another computer equipment, just basically going from the Medicaid unit to admin where the need was for these docking monitors. So zero fiscal impact.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Any legislators? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve for signature. A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
11 is
back.
approval again for signature. This is a fund transfer for the sheriff's office for training expenses for a new hire. We could talk about this in protective as well. This is in the amount of $11,900, and I'll let our sheriff.
Again, this is just moving money. It's education and training money. Moving in the department, no fiscal impact. It's for training a new deputy.
Yep. The law provides if you pick up a deputy from somewhere else and they pay for the training, you gotta reimburse them.
Within a certain amount of time.
That goes back many years.
Yeah.
So this is a new hire during the transition period of the sheriff's office, so I don't know if usually we would have picked up someone within under 3 years previous, so we don't usually get this bill, but this is one that kind of slipped through the cracks during the transition.
We did many years ago when they first did that law, and I said my piece then. I'll leave it there. What I thought of that law.
Were you pro or con?
I think he's con.
I was con. We had to pay a bunch of money.
All right.
You want to say Vic?
Because we got some good
We're having
deputies.
that.
We got a good deputy,
Yeah.
and we would have to pay for him to go to the academy, so we just paid
Right.
Kingston back for their
And
expenses.
welcome. We're happy to have a new
Right.
deputy here. Okay. Legislator Montgomery.
And is it the same academy?
Kingston, I believe, is a different police academy. They use.
So, I mean, that's just a question. Like, you're comfortable and aware of their training and,
It's all up to DCJS state standard, so
Okay.
they have to pass that state standard. So I
Okay,
think we are comfortable with that.
okay,
Because we also change academies, right? We'll use Westchester, we'll use Rockville, we'll use
Mhm.
Dutchess, depending what the next available one is.
okay. As long as you're comfortable with the training he's getting, then I'm comfortable.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Anyone from the public? Okay, I will make a motion to approve for signature. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, agenda item number 12. This is an approval for a fund transfer. This is again for the sheriff's office to set account 22.
I should have stayed.
You got a couple more.
You got a couple more. You
actually
can stay
have
right
several
there.
more in a row.
Oh, I'll
So you're welcome to
stay.
sit
I'll
down with the commissioner. and
Should I
have
sit?
to relax. Yeah, have a
Sit next
seat,
to
'cause
Bill.
this is
Sure,
my-
have a
Help me out.
Yeah, have a seat.
I will get comfortable.
Sheriff, you are sitting next to the con.
I know.
Okay, number 12, this is to cover overage and remaining projection for 2025. I'll let you.
Correct. So again, it's moving money interdepartment where we were short on, some of the SRT overtime. We moved it from patrol overage. Weight enforcement, we were less, so we moved that to communications. So it's just moving money around in the department to cover losses. No fiscal impacts, all within the budget.
Okay. This is in the amount of $68,573.05. Anyone have questions or comments? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 12. Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
13 is also for the sheriff's office. This is to cover overtime for August. In fact, agenda items 13, 14, and 15 are for August, September, and October, and this is all the same type of a transfer. So I'll let you describe them, and then we can vote on them separately. But
Sure. This is for corrections. This was, replace the open, we have 5 open vacancies still in the correction lines. So this was taking the money out of those vacancies to pay for the overtime to backfill for the 3 months, as you said, 13, 14, 15, I believe it was.
anyone have any questions on any of these transfers? We'll cover that overtime. Okay, so we'll vote on them separately. Anyone from the public have questions or comments? All right, agenda item, let's start with 13. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item number 14. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item number 15. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to number 16.
All right, Kristen's back, you're out.
Yeah, you're
Say thank you.
We got you out here as quick as we could.
No, I'm here, don't worry.
All right, so we'll back on number 16 now. This is back to health. Thank you coming up again. This is for an approval for social services for the Fund Advocacy Center partnership with the Women's Resource Center.
Yes, so this is a follow-up to our discussion at the Health Committee meeting earlier this month.
Yeah.
With our CAC funding cut through the OVS grant. And this is to help support the contract for mental health services with the Women's Resource Center.
And this is fiscal impact is in 2026.
No, it's in 5. You're funding it in this year, 25.
Oh, 2025. Oh, okay. Never
So
mind. I'm
it'll-
looking,
You're
okay.
using it.
I
It'll
tried to
roll
page
into
Yes.
26.
Okay.
Yes.
You're funding it now, and you'll
Funding
roll
it
it
now.
the
We'll roll
next
it
year and
over.
spend it then.
I see, okay. It makes sense to have the funds available. Any questions or comments from the committee? Anyone from the legislature?
I just want to say, no, I was going to say, I'm glad to see this moving forward. This is, needed. It's a needed resource, and I'm glad we're moving this forward.
Yes, or no comment?
Yeah, that was an unfortunate thing that happened in the grant because of one applicant or something something happened with the state funding, so.
They reverted to the old year's funding.
Yeah, which is shocking with.
After budgeting.
Yes, and left
Right.
a $116,000 plus hole. And we did talk about it extensively at our November meeting, and it hit really hard. Because what would happen if we didn't fund this? And we heard clearly what happens, that children would have to wait longer for trauma therapy, forensic interviews would be delayed, and the CAC risks losing their capacity to function. It's not a hypothetical of what would happen, and we were going to hold off and wait, but I'm glad we're not. These are kids who have already really experienced excruciating harm, and there are families who are asking for help. So I'm happy to see this. I'm glad the CAC is, able to access this funding, and that they can make sure our children have their space where these kids can tell their story in a safe place with professionals, with forensic, with law enforcement, so they can receive healing and justice at the same time in a safe place. So thank you for bringing it to us.
Thank you. If you've ever been, if I've had the opportunity to tour the CAC, it's a welcoming space. We've got a little room for the children to sit and decompress and play games, and it's an unfortunate situation for you to be led to. But I would concur with Legislator Montgomery. It's important that we fund this and help any way we can. Anyone from the public have any questions or comments? Please come up to the podium.
Hey. Okay, my name's here already. All right. Good. No, I just to echo what everyone said, and I spoke on this when this came up in health too, but for all of the reasons that you three legislators brought up, and obviously yours brought up as well, but to also frame this in an idea of investment. This really shouldn't be seen as spending money for services, and that's often the discourse that goes around when we spend money. But we're investing this money, honestly, in our kids and in our families, and that investment gets paid back not just to the county, but to the whole community, in saving families costs down the road. By giving them these resources, by giving them these services, we're basically helping find a way and a pathway to head off the need to spend money on services later, or to spend money on services and other types of situations that come up when these children grow up and go down the road and maybe didn't have some of these issues addressed. So again, I just always like to come up and just remind folks that this really should be seen as an investment that will pay back, and just economically, investments like this tend to pay back 4 to 7 times every penny that you pay into it. So I just want to commend you guys on moving it forward, and excited to see it go through the full bunch. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, with that, I will make a motion to approve agenda item number 16. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Agenda item 17 is an approval for signature. This is for a fund transfer for the legislature to cover temporary help through the year end. We've had some transitions in the legislature this year, and we've had to increase some temporary help. So just transferring money from education and training into our temporary lines in the amount of $3,564. Pretty straightforward.
I saw Diane today. She looks rested and relaxed.
That's what you're supposed to be like when you're retired. The 3 R's.
Tell me about it.
Rested, relaxed, and retired. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislators? Anyone from the public? All right, I will make a motion for signature on number 17. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 18 is an approval to renew the contract for our outside auditors. This is something that we do every year when we hire our outside auditors. We've been working with O'Connor Davies for how many years, Bill?
Boy, at least since I've been here.
Since they were Benny.
Yeah, they're Benny Kielsen. There's been an iteration of names, but it's the same firm.
But since the 80s or 90s,
Yes.
but we will say that we do go out to RFP quite regularly.
Yes, we do.
For our professional services.
Yes.
And these guys consistently, for value, hit the mark.
Yes, they do, and they do a lot of the Hudson Valley.
Any questions or comments from the committee?
I do have a question about the resolution, and Diane cleared it up for me. Bill, this is for, because it says for the year 2025. And of course,
It's
exactly,
the audit of
it's the audit for
25.
The audit of
2025,
25.
yeah,
Right,
so
that they do in 26.
I had read that originally, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's a typo because, you
Yeah,
know, we're
yeah,
here for
no,
the last
it's
meeting.
for the
2020.
fiscal year.
Exactly, and Diane explained that to me.
Yes.
So in case anybody else had a similar question.
And just so you know, as a disclosure, as Legislator Sage knows, because she serves on the Tobacco Asset Securitization Board, we also choose the same auditor that the county chooses because the task financial statements are a component unit and are actually included in the county statements. So in order to avoid any issues of dueling accountants, we use the same firm. So I will also, after you sign the engagement letter on behalf of the county, I'll sign it as treasurer of the task. Our board gave me the authority to do that.
Yeah, if I could, Bill, that's nothing unusual for
No,
that kind of.
it's standard
Yeah,
practice.
yes, right.
And then the tobacco, that's the tobacco, there's two separate audits. It's our county,
Right, and the task gets a separate audit.
right,
What the task is
is the tobacco.
asset
Right.
securitization for.
Correct.
Money.
And their financial statements are incorporated in our own.
Right. Any questions?
As county.
Any more questions from the committee? Any other legislators? Legislator Elner?
Yes, you said RFPs did go out
Oh,
for
yes,
these
yeah,
professional
yeah.
services?
Oh, yeah. Legislature does them.
And who evaluated the RFPs?
Who did the last one? You were, right?
So Michelle,
I
you-
was on
Michelle,
one.
you
Michelle,
did it, yeah.
Michelle has as part of it. Purchasing is involved.
And I believe legislator has the last too, wasn't it?
Yeah, whoever was chairman of audit at the time. It might have been Joe. It probably was Joe.
Okay, and just for background, I was curious, how many firms responded to the RFP?
That I can recall on the top of my head, 3 or 4,
Mhm.
I believe. I'd have to check to be sure.
Right, this is an extension, so
Right.
this is, we have 2 one-year extensions on the RFP that was previously,
So this is a renewal.
this is the
Yes.
1 year renewal.
Gotcha, thank you.
Any
I
other
have a
questions?
weird
Legislator
question,
Walker?
and I know I don't like this question right before I ask it, but we just got this notice for the LGE grants, local government efficiency. You can't consolidate auditing with other municipalities, can you?
It depends, probably, you mean the independent audit?
Well, I don't know, there's opportunities, there's funding for consolidation, like for consolidation studies and implementation through the local government efficiency.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that because everybody separately retains their own
And somebody else.
professionals and, and I don't know if you'd save any money if, say, we consolidate with the town of Carmel, but we're both served by O'Connor Davies.
Right, and town.
There's 2 separate contracts, putting them together, it's probably pay around the
And
same.
we do share services. we
Right,
do
I know, but
share-
there's still a certain amount of testing and field work and stuff. You're not gonna get the
Yeah.
economy of scales because you still have to do that work.
Right.
So if I do sample testing, say, for here and Carmel, I'm gonna need the same amount of people to go into the field and do the same amount of testing of your records.
Mhm.
So I don't see, I
Yeah.
understand what you're
It's
asking,
just
but
a
I
weird-
just
I
don't
have
see
a-
how that
yeah.
savings would come, considering what's involved in doing the audit.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other legislators have questions? Anyone from the public? Come on up.
Also occurs to me that my name's here, but I didn't say what it was for the record, so. It's Bray Harris, Carmel Hamlet. Just a couple questions, because I tried to look at the backup for this, but there wasn't a ton, and I know it's a contract, so it's a little whatever, but, a lot of times we see on social media, it gets posted that the county passed an audit and it's great, and I think that is good. But I think sometimes maybe the public, and certainly I don't always have a full understanding of what that means. Is this a forensic type of accounting and audit of all of the different budget lines and everything else? Is that, would you,
Yeah,
So it's
I know
like-
what you're saying. It's not a forensic audit in terms of, sometimes there's specific audits for fraud, but it is an audit that meets federal standards for receiving federal aid. You have to follow all the, what they call the Yellow Book procedures from the federal circular. It's A133, but it meets all those. And then there are other little specific audits within the big audit for certain transportation programs that have to have their own funding.
Okay, but this shouldn't be seen as like a deep, someone went and put the rubber gloves on.
That's
and
our
did
job.
everything.
Right, yeah, exactly,
that's-
exactly. No,
well, I think that's
exactly,
good to know.
but yes.
Because the way sometimes you read things in public, right, it comes across
Right.
as if we're saying and almost implying that it is some type of.
No, it's not that exacting, but it's also
Okay.
not a rubber stamp.
Understood.
They spend a lot of time and you spend a lot of money on these audits. And there's a lot of answering to state governments, federal governments, branches of federal governments,
Yeah,
branches of state governments,
No, 'cause
These
I'm
these
thinking-
go to a federal clearinghouse, Moody's looks at them, There's a lot of people who deal, and that's why your financial statements are like 200 pages long.
Yeah.
So it's extensive, but it's not to the point where they're gonna go in and look and examine every check and do some kind of forensic accounting like that.
That's what I was
It's
curious
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I was thinking like soil and water, like how we got there, but that would make sense. That wouldn't show up because it wasn't as deep in accounting. But okay, thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Just to echo a little bit about that, Bill, in addition to whatever particular micro audits we might need to do because of whatever federal or state grants we get, the bulk of the audit, it's my understanding, is because this firm is hired, actually, the legislature is the client here.
Yes.
In that sense, as opposed to the administration.
Correct.
And you prepare financial statements as the Commissioner of Finance. And those financial statements, I mean, in addition to those other micro audits that are part of that.
Correct.
But the big bulk is for them to give us, the legislature, that's why they come before this committee every year.
Correct. Yeah,
To let us know that your books are, through that testing and field work that you talked about, that your financial statements are not materially misstated or in good.
Right, that's correct. It's important to note that that presentation is not given to the county executive, it's given to the legislature. It's the check and balance, the audit, that's why you budget for it
Right.
and you pay for it. It's totally different from the administrative branch. Now, the transportation audits and stuff, that's more of an administrative thing, but the county audit and the view of the books, that's a legislative, not administrative.
Anyone else? Okay, and just, the backup on this is confidential, and that's why it was not online. So I will make a
And
motion.
it's a contract, but once
It's a
it's
contract.
signed.
Once it's signed.
Right, once it's signed,
It'll be
okay,
public.
yeah.
Right, but we can't release that until after it's voted on. So, and with that, I will make a motion to approve the renewal of the contract for outside auditors. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, agenda item number 19 is an FYI. This is another confidential report. This is for guard, rail, and property damage. Please review it.
I have a question on that.
Pardon me?
I have a question on the report. I just noticed, and it's probably been here all along, but it appears that we're being charged by our broker on these recoveries.
Are you looking at our the report?
Yes.
Our renewal report?
Our
Yeah,
insurance broker.
Yeah, that does appear that way. I can find out more from Matt Bruno about it, but I think they process the claim and they do all the work to get us the money.
correct.
yeah, but we pay them for the policy, and our policy should include subrogation, so why should we be paying?
Has
do
this
that?
line, has this heading always been here? I don't recall.
I don't recall, that's why I just caught it.
Sure,
This is not new, this is something that
No,
was
it's
explained,
here.
Matt Bruno's been here and explained that.
Yes.
Okay.
This is something
Right.
that's typical,
Okay.
this is,
Okay.
And they do expend funds, so you remember, they're going after other people. It's not automatic that we get the money even, they're going after other
Right, the
insurance companies.
insurer,
Right,
the insurer is doing it, not necessarily the broker, that's why I just picked it up and figured, asked the question.
the insurer is doing that, but I think it's the broker that's going after the other insurer, yeah.
And this is the same broker we've had for how
Yes.
many years?
decade.
Decades, yeah.
Do we go out to RFP?
Right, is that, right, that's Matt Bruno, he would be.
Yeah, that, you'd have to
We
ask
can
Matt
talk,
that,
we
the
can
last
bring
time
him
that that's done, the broker record.
Yeah. Okay,
Right, you gotta remember, the insurance, as Greg makes an excellent point, you're also involving NYMER, the insurance reciprocal, about who gets hired to do what. Because they are really the master policy.
So we.
And then NYMER has saved us a lot of money, and a lot of municipalities' money over the years.
and these are payments that we've received.
Oh, yeah.
As a result of.
As a result of the
Our bill damage.
Matt and the brokers doing the work, yes.
Right.
Thank you,
The-
Matt.
These are payments to
Yeah,
us.
it's good at recovering money.
And,
for us.
and DPW, we gotta throw that in there. Those guys go out there, do the inspections.
Yes, they do.
The photos.
We only started
Yeah.
doing this not too long ago.
Yeah, it was a few years. It was before I left they started it.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Good.
Any other questions or comments?
It is, and it's accountability, you know.
That was just an FYI. Number 20 is other business. I don't think we have any other business on audit this evening. So I will make a motion to adjourn for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. Take that.
And welcome to the December 18th meeting of the Rules Committee. I'd ask you all to stand for the pledge. Nancy, would you do this?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask the clerk to call the roll.
Legislator Elner. Here. Legislator Goulden. Chairman Birmingham.
Good evening. I'm here, and we also have Legislator Montgomery filling in Legislator Goulden. Chairman's verbal report will be short. Just this is our last rules meeting of the year, obviously. Hopefully, I'm sure it would be. We have. You never know. You never know.
My last rules meeting.
Okay. So just welcome to that. We've got item number 4, acceptance of minutes from our September 15th meeting. That doesn't require a vote. We'll just acknowledge that we have them and put them into meeting minutes. Item number 5, we have an approval of local law amending Chapter 25 of Article 6 of the, I guess it's the county code or the charter. Barbara, do you want to come up and join us? And this is the code, if I recall, right? Is it the code chapter 25? Yep, perfect. It's with respect to the Transportation Advisory Council. You came before us a few months ago, whether it was this committee or another committee, and you want to walk us through this? I believe you're expanding the membership and perhaps updating it and modernizing it.
I was actually at the November Rules Committee.
Were you?
I am requesting an update to update the membership to reflect current conditions of public transit. The current council has been defunct for several years. We tried to solicit to see if the previous members were interested. Actually, 2 of them have passed away. So no, unfortunately. So trying to look at the criteria. Some of it's a little antiquated, the language on how they phrased some of the members. So requesting that we update that to be a little more sensitive to the nature of disabilities and things like that. I'm also requesting, there are ex officio members that are included. I'm narrowing it down to try and limit the time commitment I'm asking from other department heads and members of the county government. This is, I'm trying to update this now because we are undertaking a study of our entire transit system this year. And I would like this council to advise us on that.
Okay. We did receive, I believe, a red line on this. Could you just go over, it's not in our packet now, but could you go over some of these swaps as far as who was a member, whether the ex officio membership or the full board, who's in and who's out, and perhaps what titles have changed?
Sure. I actually don't have the original.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, is the, I think the Director of Tourism is a new ex officio member?
No, they were currently.
They were there, okay.
I took out Consumer Affairs,
Okay.
and I think the IDA
Right.
and Economic Development Director. It used to be heavily focused on economic development.
Mhm.
I am trying to focus it on the needs of our clients, the current customer base that we serve, and making sure that we address what they want us to do for them.
So for instance, the Commissioner of DSS, I see, is an ex officio member probably in that sphere.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
One of the changes from November was a request from Legislator Montgomery to add the representative of the MTA board for the county. So that was done.
Other than the personnel changes on the commission. Are there any substantive changes with respect to the other sections, the powers and duties or meeting requirements? Anything new there?
We did change and kind of narrow down the powers and duties. And one of the changes was removing, looking at taxing limousine regulatory issues. That currently, public transportation, we're not involved with regulating the taxis or licensing of them. That is the DMV.
Right.
So we removed that.
You removed that, yeah. I know Paul and I got a constituent,
I did
you did too, maybe others did as well, about the county. This is a little off topic, I won't take too much time at all with it, about the county regulating taxis and limousines. I know the Village of Brewster does, and I do believe that the county did have home rule message, Paul, perhaps you were on, that was passed by the Assembly and Senate, but the Governor Pataki at the time vetoed it because of home rule issues with Brewster. So I don't know if that's something that your commission might want to take a look at, because in today's day and age with Uber wasn't that big back then, if at all. Not to put more on the plate, but you took it out, which it makes sense, but separate and apart from this, perhaps we can have a conversation, because we are, having new technologies and things like that expanded, but that's not the focus of this. I get it, and that makes sense.
That is through the DMV, so if something was proposed for that by the county, I would recommend either the county clerk or Consumer Affairs, who does licensing, handle that. We aren't really involved in that.
Well, that makes sense. Any committee members have any comments or questions about the amendment?
I do, just that it's timely because we're going to embark on a countywide transportation study, so this advisory council will be a big part of that. Great, thank you.
Any legislators, any comments or questions? Any members of the public? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to approve this. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. Commissioner, thank you. Item number 6 is a local law changing the charter to provide for, oh no, I'm sorry, we're on, yes, we are, we're on that, okay. Local law changing the charter to provide for a council to the majority of the county legislature and council to the minority of the county legislature. This, of course, has been before, I think, 2 other committee meetings of this committee. It's gone through several iterations. This has been in our boxes for more than the statutory 10 days. We've talked a lot about it so far. I just wanted to make a few comments and then open it up, of course, to the committee, the legislature, and the public. We did vote for this unanimously in the budget to fund it. There's been some discussion in the last committee meetings as far as perhaps making the salaries the same for both councils, and that's in this. That was proposed, I think, or suggested by legislator, I think it was Eric, legislator Crowley. So we took her idea and put it in here. And again, it just gives the county legislature, the minority and the majority parties, council separate and apart from another branch of government. And again, I've said this to your predecessor, I'll say it to you, this is no reflection on your excellent service to us. You've been above and beyond, but it's more of a separation of powers issue. Other than that, we have talked about it a lot. I'll open it up to the committee if there's any comments or questions about it. Any member of the legislature?
One thing which we didn't think of and it should be brought out, because sometimes things happen that are not very timely, and it's unfair right now to the current legislative council that they have other things that they have to do, so they get jammed up and have to rush things through, and it's just not fair. By having 2 dedicated attorneys, I think it's going to serve the legislature in a much better way, and it's going to allow for easier workflow. So again, thank you, Heather, for everything you've done. It's recognized, and timeliness is something that you will be improved by passing this forward.
Sure. So a lot of work did go into this, and thank you, Heather and Dan and Amy for considering it and the work that went into before the budget process. We were talking about this for many months prior. And I think, in our conversations in trying to develop this local law, one thing that is considered is also rescinding the local law that we passed this year in regard to the legislature having authority over the county attorney. So that's something we're going to, at least we talked about taking a look at. We'd have to go to referendum, and it just makes sense to give the authority of the county attorney to the executive branch with our approval, and give the authority of the legislative council exclusively, I believe, to the legislature. And I wrote in a clause to do that that was taken out, which is fine. We have next year to discuss this. A local law can always be amended. We're constantly doing that. I'm really happy that we have this before us now, but it was truly with that consideration of reconfiguring what we already did this year and taking a closer look at that code. I worked really hard on this. I know a lot of you did, and I just want to say what this local law is about capacity, and what it is not about. It is not about conflict, and there's been controversy and the appearance of conflict and the appearance of power grabs possibly. This is just good government, separation of branches. This law gives the legislature the tools to do its job better, regardless of party. It creates counsel for both the majority and the minority. It ensures that we reinforce the separation of powers that protect all of us, no matter who holds power in any given moment. Power could change. There could be, the majority could be a different party. And you'll be thankful that you have minority counsel maybe. So it doesn't weaken the executive branch. It does not undermine the county attorney. It simply gives this legislature the internal capacity to draft better laws, to ask better questions, and to govern more effectively. If issues arise in the future, like I just spoke about, this body always retains the ability to amend this law. So I hope when we vote, we're making this decision tonight based on substance, and not out of fear of losing support in a future election, not out of expectations set somewhere other than right here in this room. I wish every member of the legislature were here tonight to participate. It was shocking that I walked into what I appeared an empty room. We were here, I remember December of last year when we had another really big issue to discuss and move through committee, and the room was vacant except for the committee members and me over there going blah, blah, blah. So I wish every member were here because decisions made about the structure and independence of this legislature are best made when everybody's present. I support this measure because strong, independent, and transparent institutions serve the people of Putnam County. I'm really happy to move this forward, and I look forward to working on into the future to make our laws stronger and better that work for us in equal, independent branches of government. Thank you.
Thank you. Any member of the committee, any member outside of the committee?
Yes, thank you.
Kelly?
Yes. I'm in favor of this moving forward this evening, and as you said, Legislator Birmingham, that was voted unanimously in the budget. A dedicated legislative attorney ensures that the legislature will receive legal guidance that is independent from the executive branch. This helps to avoid conflicts of interest and protects the legislature's authority. Also, legislator's attorney helped to safeguard separation of powers. A county legislator with its own attorney will operate more effectively. This supports democracy at the local level, ensuring powers are respected and public interest is protected. And it has been a long-standing practice right here in Putnam County, where the legislature contracts for outside counsel, functioning as legislative counsel for us. I don't believe this is a luxury. I think this is a safeguard for effective governance, and I'm in favor of this evening.
Thank you. Any other members of the legislature?
I'd just like to just state the obvious. We have had legislative counsel since I think the legislature was formed. We've always had separate legislative counsel here in Putnam County. For some reason, last year, our legislative counsel was revoked and removed. We had a contract for legislative counsel, which saved the taxpayer money. We just had a flat-out contract. We didn't need to hire an employee. We didn't need to hire 2 attorneys. We only had a contract, which saved the taxpayer money. But for some reason, that contract was not reviewed or renewed, nor were we able to hire our own legislative counsel or even attempt to interview or hire legislative counsel outside of our county attorney's office. For some reason, that happened just a year ago. And this past year has been difficult, not only for me as chair. This is my first year of chair. I've had to really kind of struggle through a lot, but also for our office staff. I think it's to not have a dedicated legislative counsel. And again, I would not slight any of our legislative counsel that we've had here who came from the county attorney's office, because they've been nothing more than professional, educated, quick to serve as best they can. But this just goes to serving the legislature, separation of the powers of government, confidentiality, and serving really of our legislature. But not only for me, not only for this current legislature, but for future legislatures, because this isn't for me. You know, obviously I'm not going to be here forever, and none of us hold these seats. These are people's seats. This is for future legislatures, and this is to help and guide our legislature and to ensure that there are separation of powers in government. And this is nothing new for Putnam County. If you read the charters for any charter government in Putnam County, I would say probably 75 to 80% have something like this in their charter that allow for legislative counsel, specifically for the legislature. So I don't know if I could state it any more clearly that I'm for this, and I appreciate all the work that went in from everyone in the legislature. I think this was collaborative. This was something I think everybody had a say in, and of course we all did have a say, and we have 9 legislators. We've been talking about this for so long. So yeah, I'm here tonight, and I'm happy to move this forward. If you move it through committee.
Thank you, Chairman. I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but all of this discussion is starting to bring back some memories that are stirring up some feelings. Let's not forget, first of all, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace that this legislature had to go for the last year without independent legislative counsel. Okay? A member of this legislature who's not here tonight wrote a letter to the county attorney's office, and that began what I referred to then, I refer to it now, as a witch hunt against our former legislative counsel. This county spent $35,000 on that document, which I refer to as a witch hunt. And from that, they discontinued the contract, a valid contract that this legislature approved, and the county attorney canceled. And at that time, let us not forget about the county executive suing the legislature. It cost $52,000 of taxpayer money to sue the legislature. And the night before we were scheduled to go to court, it was aborted. All right, so we spent $87,000 on getting rid of independent legislative counsel. All right, and it's just a disgrace that Chairwoman Sage has had to work this year, as she mentioned, the staff, and all of us have had to work without our independent counsel. Respect to Ms. Abisi, but we should have had our own counsel. And I'm going to be in favor of this. And really, what happened last year was disgraceful, and we need to pass this as a result of what they did last year. So thank you.
Thanks. Greg, and then we'll open it up to the public.
My memory is coming back too, and because of those actions, this legislature went out and hired an attorney, very good attorney. That's my recollection. It was Hollis Gettinger out of White Plains. And being in a position to defend going to court that morning, we spent about a little over $17,000, if memory serves, with this attorney. That attorney provided services. That attorney has never been paid. The reason that attorney has never been paid is because the county attorney has to sign off on the bill. Everything else administratively has been done, and I think it's an absolute disgrace that Putnam County is going to use professional services and not pay our bill.
All right, let's have a positive looking forward. This is hopefully a good thing going forward.
If I can
Yeah.
comment again.
Yeah.
And so I have, remembering my understanding of what happened and why we're here. And it is my understanding that according to the code, the county attorney has the authority to oversee, hire, and fire legislative counsel. That is why we need this code. It's not about politics. I had a really good note here. I believe it rises above politics. Again, it's about capacity and balance and how we function as an institution, regardless of who holds power. And it is, whatever mistakes were made, and I really believe mistakes were made on both parts, on both sides, legislative and executive side. And I think that's why this code needs to be presented and implemented and passed. And my feeling is it might not get passed. It might get vetoed. And we know from talking to each other, don't have the votes to override that veto. So it won't get passed this year, but here we are in this performative act trying to, we'll get it passed through the committee, we'll get it passed through the legislature. Hopefully the county executive will pass this and sign it into law. If he doesn't, we'll bring it up again next year. And if there's a legislator who doesn't believe that we should have our own independent counsel, creating independent branches of government, let the county executive have oversight of the county attorney, and let us have our own county attorney, and let us have our own county attorney that we hire in the event that we have a conflict with the county executive. Because as this code says right now, this is just for legislative purposes, creating resolutions, the laws, and parliamentary procedures. What this law doesn't say, which I had put in and it was taken out, was if we have a conflict with the county executive, our attorney is still provided to us by the county attorney. So I'm looking to be independent, that's all. I'm fiercely independent. I think that's what's good government for the people. And hopefully we'll get there this year. Hopefully it'll be signed into law this year. I'm prepared to bring this up again next year.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any members of the public who wish to comment on it? Sir, you can come to the podium.
All right, still Brett Yares, still in Cromwell Hamlet. I'll make this brief because I've spoken on this quite a bit in front of you guys. When this nation was founded through the Constitution, okay, so post Articles of Confederation, the Constitution now needs to work. The very first part of that document that they wrote was Article 1. To me, that was a signal as to what should be the most important part of that document. What should be the most important part of government that has now lasted 200 plus years, going into 250 years. And they chose to make it about legislative bodies. They chose Article 1, the very first thing you read in our founding document as a country, to be about legislative bodies, to be about Congress. Because the legislative bodies in a democratic government are the voices of the people. You know Kent better than anyone here, because you live there. You know Carmel and Kent better than anyone here, because you live there. Southeast and Carmel, Brewster and Southeast, Phillipstown and Putnam Valley, Mahopac. Because you live there. You know your neighbors better than anybody. You are the voices of the people. Executives, whether they be county executives, whether they be presidents, as Article 2 of the Constitution spells out, are to serve an administrative function, to administer the acts of government. But it's the legislative bodies and the Congress that reflect the voices, the needs, the desires of the people. To not be able to defend your people, Legislator Sage, you said that these seats belong to the people. To not be able to defend that independently is a travesty. That's just the facts. We are a nation built on the idea that legislative bodies, Congress, you are the voices of the people. You are what carries the government forward. If that changes, if all of a sudden we decide to say that the executive, whomever that may be, controls both government, if he doesn't like the way the legislature is acting, we'll have legislative council revoked. That's not reflecting the will of the people. That's creating loyalty tests. That's creating machines. That's creating problems. This tonight, now that it is finally being brought for a vote, and I appreciate that it is an opportunity, and unfortunately, as Legislator Montgomery pointed out, this is not the best version of this legislation. The best version of this resolution provides for what happens when there's a conflict. That's the best version of this resolution. But in government, we don't always let perfect get in the way of the good. So this is a good step forward. But the legislature must maintain independence. It is an independent branch, and from the very founding of this nation, I hear all the time, rightfully so, we are the most patriotic county in New York State, maybe in America. So to keep in compliance with the founding doctrine of this nation, the legislature must continue to be the most powerful voice of the people. It cannot do that if it cannot function independently. This is one step forward to gaining independence. And as we know, there will be more attacks on independence to come. This is one layer of protection. Don't let that opportunity pass you by. Thank you.
Any other member of the public have any comments on this matter? Seeing none, I'll make a motion to forward this to the year-end meeting happening after this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call vote, please. Ed?
Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery?
Yes.
Chairman Birmingham?
Yes. Thank you. Motion passes. With the committee's forbearance, I'd like to move item 7 to the end. I'll make a motion to do that. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Item number, I'm sorry, Sheriff, I just, I apologize. Or, you know, actually, if
Better
Just
than
missed
the
dinner.
No, it's okay.
Actually, what I meant to do is move that right before the litigation report, so item 9, because if we do have another additional item, I won't let that preempt.
You can go with me, McDonald.
Okay, reappointments to the electrical board. This should not be controversial. Item number 8, we have before us nominations to the appointments to the electrical board. We have before us the following people. Chairman and following nominations were made from the electrical board: chairman and vice chair, Carmine Ritchie, for term ending. Well, this says ending December 2026, and then we.
Really the second group.
Oh, the second.
First is their
board
own
board
internal,
members, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it's Carlos d'Iria That'll be appointed till 3-year term till the end of 2028. Then Thomas Mochio to the end of 28. And then we have Carmine Ritchie again till the end of 2028. Those are the 3 nominees. Is there any discussion?
I'm grateful for their service to this board. I just have to say, especially to Carmine Ritchie, who's a Cold Spring resident and has been serving on the board since 2014. And they're just a bunch of dedicated folks who do the job that I don't know how to do. So I'm really grateful for them.
Any other members of the legislature or the public have any comments on this? I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 9, we have appointments to the Ag and Farmland Protection Board. And this is just an FYI. It's appointments by our chairwoman, Amy Sage. Amy, would you like to fill us in on this?
Sure. We have 2 seats that are, their term ends at the end of this year, 2025. So in order to get them started in 2026, I thought it would be beneficial to discuss their terms and reappoint them for their term beginning in 2026 as it expires this year. They've both previously been on the board. They've each sent over a bio resume, and just looking forward to their reappointment and serving on this board. And thank you so much for their volunteerism to serve.
Thank you. Keeping us in the loop. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. That was item number 9. Thank you. Any comment? Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, because they work through physical services, I definitely want to thank Chairwoman Ms. Darcy. She's been very easy to work with. And I see that we're also keeping continuity with Nicole Scott as the secretary.
Any other legislator have any comments?
I'd like to comment.
Sure.
Because again, we have a Phillipstown rep, and I'm grateful for that, Nicole's expertise. And also, I've learned a lot from Christine Nastasi since she's been on the board and served as chair. This is hard work that these folks volunteer to do, and I'm just so grateful for it. Again, something I'm not an expert on, and I'm just grateful that we have these folks to guide us through this.
Here, I need to get caught up on this issue, and have needed to get caught up on this issue, and this topic, I should say. And not only Christine, but the other board members have been doing their best to do that, so thank you for that. Any member of the public have any comments on these appointments? Or no, on this, yeah.
I'll make it really quick.
Of course, come on up.
Oh, my name's here too. We're just using
Sign her in.
every.
Pre-filed?
Yeah, pre-filed.
Pre-filed signature we're doing?
I was gonna get stamps. Cassandra Roth, Patterson calling. I wanted to say, thank you. Christine, Nastasi, and Nicole have been so great. Those are right now the chair and secretary. Obviously, do a lot of really good work. Christine has been a bulldozer, but a bulldozer that we've needed really in a year that it has been. Obviously you've heard more about ag and soil and water, and you'll hear more later, so I'm not going to bore you now, but I'm really thankful that you guys are doing that reappointment to keep that continuity, and Christine and Nicole are immeasurably valuable to the ag board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member of the public? Okay, this was an FYI. Thank you, Chairwoman Sage. Thank you, public, for commenting. What I'd like to do now is bring back item number 7. And what I'd like to do on this is an approval for the IMA, intermunicipal agreement between the County of Putnam Sheriff's Department and the County of Westchester. The reason I did put this off to the end, Sheriff, is my firm represents in a small way the County of Westchester. So what I'm going to do is recuse myself from participating in this. And I would ask Legislator Montgomery to really share this part of the meeting.
Sure, thank you, appreciate that. Thank you, Sheriff. And I'm a big fan of intermunicipal agreements because it, signals shared services and working with our neighbors and people to our borders. So that's always a great thing. So take it away.
Sure. This is a renewal, IMA, 5-year term. This is set for. And what this allows us to do at the Sheriff's Office is call for mutual aid to Westchester County. So we're part of Zone A, which geographically is everything of 287 North in Westchester, including all the Putnam agencies. So God forbid there's a natural disaster, some other type of emergency, we could activate Zone A and have 25 additional police officers from those agencies come assist us. And in return for that, we will send 2 deputies if they have that request in that same Zone A. So this is, I think we were in it for the last 5 years. This is a renewal to keep the agreement going. I think it's a very good thing. Like you said, it shared services, allows us to have a rapid influx of people if we need them, and we'll go assist our neighbors if they need us.
Great. I do have a question. It's Zone A, I'm just understanding what Zone A is.
Sure, yeah, so the Westchester is split into 3 zones. Zone A is, like I said, it's pretty much everything 287 north.
Yeah.
Zone B is everything along the Hudson River.
So do we have an alignment for Zone B?
Yeah, so the plan incorporates all the zones.
Okay.
Normally, we would be in that Zone A, that's like the first response.
Yeah.
God forbid there was a large-scale emergency, we could call all 3 zones to Putnam County. Or reverse, we could end up going to Yonkers if that emergency was ever that large. But the usual deployment is within your zone to kind of separate.
Okay. So it does include Zone A?
It does. Zone B is the Hudson, Sound Sea. Yeah, Zone C is the Sound Shore.
There in Zone
Yeah.
A. We've got the we've got the Bear Mountain Bridge and Peekskill and
Correct.
Obviously West Point, which is a different zone with Orange County. So
Yeah, West Point would be different, right? So this is just Westchester and
Yeah.
Putnam. I mean, you could still go to Orange County under 207M for other reasons. This is kind of codifying our response to a 207M request from another chief. And that's really what controls this plan, is the state law already, it's general municipal law, 207M, which really means we'd reimburse, if we activated this plan, we'd have to reimburse Yorktown or whoever would come here for their items, their personnel, someone got injured. So we want to make sure if we're activated, we have a real purpose that we need them, because all those people kind of fall under our purview at that point.
So if somebody was hurt here,
It would be on
it
Putnam
our
County,
insurance.
correct.
Well, thank you. Any questions from the committee?
Sheriff, you're happy with what's set forth in your...
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any questions from the legislature? Any questions from the public? So with that, may I have a motion to approve the intermunicipal agreement between Putnam County Sheriff's Office and Westchester County?
So moved.
And I second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One
Thank
abstention.
you.
Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it.
Oh, I never did that before.
You did a great job.
Sure.
Thank you. Very good. So, thank you. Now we are up to item number 10, litigation report. It's our standard litigation report. It is a confidential matter. We don't typically entertain public comment on this. To the extent any of my colleagues have any comment on our litigation report, we should probably take it to executive session. Seeing none, okay, we'll go ahead and obviously it's already filed, but we can dispose of it appropriately. I'd like to make a motion to accept additional. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have before us an additional item 11A. This is approval of the Soil and Water District Funds transfer. Legislator Eleanor, I think you were the one bringing this forward. Would you like to briefly discuss it and then we can open it up?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. We've been talking about this for a very, very long period of time. And this is my last meeting, and this is something that I want to push over the goal post. And I'm on the Soil and Water District Board through the 31st. For the Conservation District to properly function, access is needed to their funds. This is the way it is set up with the state. Heather BC has done yeoman's work in working with the state and getting things together. She has said that this is a draft, and she may have recommended having more time and taking care of this next year. As some of you have heard me joke, government works at the pace of a snail with a broken leg in a cast without a wheelchair, okay? So I'm trying to just push this forward, and I think it's something that we need to do. These are funds that the Soil and Water Conservation District are entitled to. It's a very significant amount of money. It's slightly in excess of $800,000. So I would like to see this passed here so we can vote on it in the year-end meeting.
Any discussion among the committee?
I just have a comment, and I too want to thank our legislative counsel, Heather-Abisi, for all the work that's gone into this. It may seem like a draft. As I said earlier, there's always room to amend, to fix, to... I think this is a good resolution to move forward tonight. I think for the first time in our county's history, the role and financial autonomy of the Putnam County Soil and Water Conservation District is clearly and unequivocally established. The resolution makes it so there's no more gray area, which I feel like we've had since I've been trying to understand soil and water. I was just on a Region 3 Fish and Wildlife Board meeting, and the issue of a soil and water representative to that meeting, and the DEC Region 3 is, not a member, but we need you to come to advise us as well. So I just want to extend my sincere thanks to Legislative Counsel Heather-Abisi for navigating the legal complexities of this, and I'm sorry that it was so, for you, obviously a lot of people put a lot of thought into it, and for you in your position, it's probably very stressful. But you know what? We as the legislature can do this. We do have the authority to do this. So I just want to thank Cassandra Roth and Brett Yaris, who serve on the Soil and Water Board District now, and your persistence in holding us to task and Heather to task is appreciated. This is, again, something that we are not the experts on, and we look to you for that guidance. So I'm happy to move this forward. It's more than a fund transfer. It's a long overdue step toward transparency. So thank you.
Thank you. Any legislator have any comments? Amy?
Okay, so I am all for this, but I do believe this is a draft, and I could not agree more with releasing the funds for the use of soil and water. But as a legislator, I really, and this is like hundreds of thousands of dollars that we would be releasing. Let me start over. We have no reason to hold back any funds from the Soil and Water Board. Any funding that they require needs to be released according to New York State law, in my understanding. I think this is a draft right now. I'm unsure about passing this resolution where we have check marks on the back page, Schedule A, where we have to have our Commissioner of Finance check off just to make sure that we did the right thing, or that we haven't spoken to Bill Carlin about this. We haven't spoken to Matt Bruno about this.
I just got this. I've seen it.
I know, but we haven't had.
No, I know.
I haven't been able to do my due diligence and have Matt Bruno in the room, or have our Commissioner of Finance in the room. And I applaud Heather, all her hard work on this, and thank you, Legislator Ellner, for being diligent about putting this on and getting it forward. And like I said, I'm 100% on board for them being a separate entity. I was on the Soil and Water Board for years, and our previous Lori Taylor used to tell me all the time, this is not county money, this has to go to the Soil and Water Board, and I'm 100% on board for that. But as a legislator, I can't release hundreds of thousands of dollars when we have a check mark on the back page. I'd rather ask those questions first and understand, hey, Matt, what do you think? Or Commissioner Carlin, and then feel good about it. But, and like we've said before in this committee, we've had the same problem since 1966. I'd like to get this completed, the first quarter of the year, for sure. but not in one day when it's been pushed through and we have check marks on the back page with, for our commissioner and our insurance people to sign off on. I'm more than willing to sign a document or to approve a document that gives them their autonomy, gives them their account, lets them fund farmers and soil and water projects throughout the county, because that's what this is for. It's not for the county to, it's not for the county's budget. It's not to pass or pad a department budget. It's to be used by our, people with soil and water issues in the county, whether it's a farmer, whether it's a homeowner, whether it's a municipality. And that's only the reason. I have to do my due diligence as a legislator, and I'm not comfortable with passing this tonight.
If I could just, I have some of the same concerns, but then as I know you have, I kind of parsed apart some of the resolve clauses. There are some safeguards baked in here, and Commissioner Carlin and I did have a conversation earlier today to talk about it is a lot of money, and we, as a county, have to, again, it's not our money, but yeah, that's the key, but just like if the county had found some money in an account that it knew it wasn't theirs, we still have a fiduciary responsibility to protect that money.
Right.
So there are some things in this resolution that I think are helpful, that I think might go to your concerns, and I might have a little addition that might, and of course deferring to council, of course. We do realize you put this together you were requested to put this together very quickly, and the breadth of the resolution and the detail of it certainly do not betray that quickness, because it is very thorough and it is very thoughtful. And along those lines, I'm looking at the second to last resolve clause on the Commissioner of Finance's receipt of completed and fully executed paperwork required. Imagine some of that paperwork would be a contract.
Here comes the Grinch.
There we go. Hang on. And then the last resolution resolve clause talks about it being subject to your approval and the risk manager's approval. But then I think to Amy's point, it kind of ends there, and it doesn't need to come back to us. So I'd like to maybe explore that and maybe add and again, I want to hear from everybody before I make any formal proposals, but including the public and members of the board. Maybe at the end of the last resolve clause, after the Commissioner of Finance and the risk manager check those boxes, the final product comes back to the legislature for its approval. But again, if the purpose of this is to get the money appropriately to the people who should have it, I don't want that to stand in the way. So why don't we do this? Before we start with that, I haven't asked any questions, and I'm just throwing out some ideas. Why don't we see if any other legislators have any comments or questions, then we'll go to you guys if we could. And then, of course, we want to open it up to the public and have a lot of discussion about this. To the extent anything borders on executive session, Heather, you'll keep us within the guide rails?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have general comment that I can make, and then obviously if there's legal advice that the legislature wants, we should go into executive session.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we do the legislators first and see if they have any points or questions? Then we'll go to you guys, and then, of course, most importantly, we want to hear from the public. Sure, Nancy.
I think I want to clarify the timeline for which this was developed. A couple of times it was said how quickly this has come through and how quickly Legislative Council developed this. And I think my understanding is that it was worked through extensively with the Soil and Water District Board, as it should be. When I work on legislation or policy, I don't necessarily expect my attorney to draft it for me. I put it in its most final form, and then I give it to the attorney. And then it's amended, or advice is given. Wasn't a lot of time for that advice, I get it. But so just to dispel the idea that this was done overnight or just today, I believe, I could be wrong, but I think there were several meetings monthly over the course of a couple of months with the Soil and Water Board that developed this. So
Just to clarify, that is not correct. I worked with the Soil and Water Board with respect to an IMA. This document that is before you, I started writing after it was assigned to me by Legislator Ellner at 4:05, and I worked nonstop on this until it was sent to you last night. So no, that is not correct. I was provided with the memo that that Legislator Ellner provided me, and I wrote this.
okay, I understand.
So-
Was it developed out of the IMA though? Was a lot of it developed out of what was already worked on?
No, this you can compare the two. They are not the same.
Sorry, I don't mean to insult you. I'm just, I know they've been talking about some kind of agreement for a long time.
Yes, they absolutely have, and I don't want to take anything
Yeah.
away from
And that's
the incredible
frustrating for a
cooperation
board,
that I've had
a
from
volunteer
Soil
board.
and Water. There's nothing with respect to that. I just want to make it clear that this was done last minute.
Appreciate it. And I think you did a great job on it.
Thank you.
Any other legislators have any comments?
I have a question. When you mentioned on the second from the bottom resolve, that it doesn't come back to the legislature for approval on the Commissioner of Finance Risk Management approval, subject to the edits. But above that, Putnam County shall no longer serve as the custodian of these specified district funds.
That's correct.
Correct?
I think that's.
Right, so that means that it wouldn't come back to us once it's released, correct? And I think just for the public to be aware, because it's very convoluted and people really don't understand, what they're asking for is most districts in New York State maintain their own financial accounts to support and manage their operations. And this is what they're asking. So they wish to maintain their own financial account to support and manage their own operation and administrative needs independently. So they're requesting that the county release and/or transfer the funds to a district-controlled account. And that, I just wanted for the public to be aware, because they're not reading through all of this, and
Yeah.
just to put it in layman's terms. Okay.
Great, thank you.
We've been talking about this for in excess of 6 months. And as a layman, and I do not profess to be an attorney nor even look at the laws, I think we're playing with fire. Because I think we're in a situation here where the county is holding on to funds, is my opinion.
But I would caution not to speculate about any.
There are funds that are not the county's that are currently in the county's coffers. That is a fact. And this entity, per New York State, is entitled to those funds and to use those funds in the proper manner. And this entity now wants to have unfettered access to those funds. And once again, I see that we're trying to put layers of government and prevent what should be done, because New York State issues these funds, and we're missing out on additional funds because the district is not functioning in a fully autonomous manner. So that is why, at the last meeting here, I pushed this thing forward, because we got to get something done.
So, thank you for clarifying that, because these are state funds. These are not county funds.
Well, there are district funds.
District funds, correct, that are passed from the state of New York to the district. So, can you correlate that? We get state funds all the time that are passed through the county that go into Women's Resource Center or any other body outside of the county that the legislature has purview over to pass those funds to them. We don't use them, we don't put them into anybody else's department, but we have fiduciary oversight, and that's the legislature's purpose, is to make sure that these funds are passed through to their appropriate place. And for me as a legislator, I am not prepared at this abdicate my oversight of any of these funds, $800,000 worth of state funds. That being said, as a legislator, I don't have the right to take social services funding coming from the state down to social services, nor do I have the oversight to take anything from soil and water and put it anywhere else except for soil and water. But we still have the oversight on that. And also I think that protects the soil and water district. It protects them from, I would say, lawsuits, misuse of funds. And these are all volunteers. I certainly wouldn't think there was anything unethical about any of these volunteers in any way, shape, or form, nor am I suggesting that. But it does protect these volunteers. You know, if we have it, you know, we're coming to get our money, they're going to sit there and we're going to say, good job, soil and water, here you go, we'll cut them a check. I'm not willing to give that up, I think. And again, not just for me, but for future legislators, for future soil and water boards. I don't know why you would want to take on that responsibility. And having said that, this is, to me, it's a draft, and it's something we need to look into more deeply. Maybe it is better that we just write them, give them a bank account and shove it over there. I don't know that yet. And you know, I say that we get this complete, but maybe the first quarter of next year is more realistic, you know, because we don't have meetings in January. Maybe February is better, but that's me. And of course, I'm one of 9, one of 6 tonight, but that's just how I see it.
Thanks. We're going to go to Nancy, and then the public did have their hands up.
Yes, and I'm just looking forward to hearing from the public, but and there'll be a lot of clarification on this. But my understanding is the money doesn't even come to us. The money we have to have a separate bank account that I've never even heard of. I've never been aware of this. I've never seen a transfer from Putnam County Bank to Putnam County to.
We have had those.
I haven't seen
They've
them.
been done through budgetary
But we
amendments.
never see them.
No, you do, you vote on them, you do budgetary
I've never
amendments.
seen Putnam County Bank, Putnam County.
No, we transfer the money at the time from the trust account, but every time money was spent out of there, you would approve a budgetary amendment to do so
From the
on the
county
legislature.
budget to soil and water. I've never seen an approval, and I could be wrong. I was wrong earlier. And I've never approved a transfer from the Putnam County Trust, from this trust fund to.
No, that's done administratively.
So we
You
don't
set
even
up
get
the
the money.
budget to allow that to be done.
We don't even get the money.
You would increase an estimated revenue from soil and water funds, Part B or C. That's how it used to work. And then you would vote on increasing an expense line. The county general fund would pay that money and then be reimbursed by the trust account. That's how it would go in the past.
Bill, a question. So on that particular point, it's the county that's doing the spending there.
Correct.
Is the argument, though, on the other side, that it should be the district that does the spending?
Right. And that's what will happen.
Let's stop there a second, though. But so I think to Nancy's real question was, we may have, you're saying we may have done a budgetary amendment for the county to write the check.
Right, but the county was the de facto soil and water conservation district.
I think we're getting at the nub here. I think this is the crux of what we're talking about, in the sense that I think the district's position is, and I don't know well, and I'm not going to ask for legal advice because I don't want to jump
No, but
into-
I can comment.
But I think the argument I'm hearing from the other side is that the district should be doing the spending, and that we should just, like we do with our outside agencies, for instance, Cornell Cooperative Extension. We have a contract with them. We give them monthly payments, 12 every year, obviously, and they do the spending for this, whatever it is, the 4-H fair, whatever our contract
Cradles
calls.
that didn't,
So I think that might be the disconnect there. Maybe I'm wrong, and most likely I'm. Before we do that, Kat, we've got people with their hands up. Go ahead, if you want to address that.
Well, I mean, I would just like an opportunity to address what I wrote and what my understanding is.
All right.
So, from my perspective, there is no question, these are New York State funds, and there is no problem with the district seeking autonomy in using those funds and holding those funds. Many other soil and water districts operate independently. That is not, from my vantage point, an issue. In speaking with the administration, I don't believe the administration has any dispute or issue with that. The issue is how do we go from what we were doing before to affecting that in a fiscally responsible way. And initially, what we were doing and what we were discussing was putting together an IMA. When that IMA was in discussion, the notion is that we would hold and safeguard and handle the funds and give them annual budgets, which they would have autonomy and use on, but we would assist the district in helping with the accounting and the things like that because we have infrastructure there. That was not, despite our best efforts and my equally
Not the way to go.
efforts drafting, it was not done within time to get it onto this meeting. And I know that caused concern with the district. I did receive correspondence from the administration that they were reviewing it. Compliance with the administration was out, and so only came back on Monday. And since that time, I received further correspondence that they sent the IMA that I had drafted to Bill. In that intervening time, the district indicated that they didn't want to have the county involved at all in their funds. They wanted full autonomy, also permissible, it's fine. However, the IMA was not drafted that way, so it would need to be revised, which will take some time. And alternatively, they asked Legislator Ellner to instead move this forward through resolution, which again, another way at it. It's not to say you don't have the power to do that, but I was asked to do that without any of the backup material that would be assisting in that. And so as I sat here drafting it, did not have the information from New York State as to what they were going to require of us, because we had been a fiduciary for so long, and I didn't know what level of accounting we were going to have to give. I didn't know what report we were going to have to prepare. I don't know what deliverables or anything they're going to expect from us. I also...
The state? Who's they?
The state. This was Council's Office for Agriculture and Markets, and they work with and oversee and assist soil and water. And
do they require an accounting from us for instance, had we been doing it the other way since 1966?
That's exactly the problem, okay? And I spoke with counsel, and she said she was going to have to speak with her supervisor because not every county did it this way. In fact, most counties, the soil and water, the funds go from New York State directly to, the district. They don't have this intermediary function that we've had for all of this time. For better or worse, for whatever reason, I don't know how that came to be, but because we are structured that way, we now are in the rub because we have a fiduciary responsibility to account for these monies for, number one, that every dollar that came from New York State actually, went to something responsible was supposed to, and that the amount that we have and are then going to transfer to them is the correct amount. And so, we have to answer because we've been the fiduciary for all of this time. And so I don't know as I sit here today, and the council I spoke to from New York State didn't know and had to speak to her supervisor as to what level we're going to be asked to make an accounting of those funds that we are then going to be transferring in order to be able to attest that we gave them every dollar they're entitled to correctly. And that's the issue. The issue is I don't know what we're going to be asked to account for, and so I also don't know to what level going forward we have to do to ensure that the money stops coming to us and goes to them. I don't know all of the paperwork.
That could be a step two.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's multiple steps to this that I have zero clarity to be able to advise you and to advise them on. And I asked New York State specifically, well, what do you recommend? What do you want us to do? And they thought that an IMA was the correct way to go, that we were on the right path in doing that. And they said that their recommendation was that we wait, number one, so she can speak with her supervisor and she can tell us what's expected of us, number one. And number two, we can work with them on other samples of IMAs that they have so that we can ensure we include all of the required information for that. And number three, that, you know, they reiterated what we said, that there's nothing fundamentally wrong with this, but they said that as long as we are not impeding the soil and water's functioning, there's nothing wrong with us taking time to do things in a fiscally responsible way, because we're unique in the fact that we had this intermediary structure, and they are not going to fault us for wanting to make sure that we can account for the monies that we've had all this time. So that said, that is not to say, and that, again, that is not to say that this wasn't drafted with the intention of providing all of those safeguards. And as you correctly pointed out, understanding that you have the power to pass this through should you want to. That is why I built in the protections that I did. But I have to caution that I am drafting blind, okay? So I was trying to foresee all possible, you know, risks, all possible liabilities and everything without knowledge, without documentation, without information. So as I sit here today, I can't tell you whether I've covered every single eventuality. I can't tell you. I can tell you I did my best effort. And you, as you yourself said, noted there's lots of protections and things in there and safeguards that I put in. Are those adequate? I can't tell you.
No, but you might find out. Let me, Greg, and then we'll go to you, Bill. Then really to the public.
Yeah. Heather just said a key word, impediment. I can tell you, as being on the Soil and Water Conservation District, things have been impeded, absolutely unequivocally. The second thing, there's a tremendous amount of confusion, because not only is the separate entity, the Soil and Water Conservation District, there is a county soil and water department that has nothing to do with this. And as we start going through, I'm pretty sure we're going to have to dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure that none of the funds, which we were the fiduciary of, went to that department. And with that said, I think the public really needs to.
Bill has a point.
I wouldn't be the public, though. I'd be the chair of the Soil and Water Conservation
yes.
District. I just want to make sure.
Perfect, The non-salary people will say.
Non-salary, chair of.
Because you are volunteers, and we appreciate that. But Bill did, I did want to, just one point, then Cassandra will go to you as the Soil and Water Conservation District.
Yeah, as far as, I'll start with as far as I'm concerned, there really is nothing to argue about anymore. In the fact that, you know, now that we've got a revised Soil and Water Conservation District, these funds will go to them. Future funds, to answer the question that was raised there, will go directly to them. They won't come through the county. The county won't touch the money, which is important because we won't have any responsibility about that. We like that. But what I'm going to require, you know, I saw my name in here, is what you should require. You should require an executed IMA, an intermunicipal agreement that protects the county, that has the appropriate indemnity clauses, insurance, and all that other stuff. You just voted on an IMA about 45 minutes ago. You should be voting on an IMA again for the Soil and Water Board. And as far as I know, that's going to be done in January. And as soon as I get the executed IMA and they fill out the required banking information, the funds will be cut to them. We don't even need a budgetary amendment because we have them in a trust fund. We don't have them in the county quote-unquote budget. So they will have their money in January. But what's happened is there needs to be time, and we want the state to weigh in too on the IMA. We want to make sure everybody knows their role in this whole process because of all the arguing and fighting that's going on. The IMA will delineate everybody's rights and responsibilities, and then it'll be done. You can be comfortable that your legislative oversight was done when you see the IMA and you vote on it. Yeah. They can have their money in January because they have to spend it maybe by February, whenever, and that can be done. And finally, they'll have to do all the requirements. You know, they have a hefty job again ahead of them. I appreciate the work they're doing. You know, they have to update the website. They've got to do all the projects. They've got to do all that stuff that the county will no longer be doing. But the county has a responsibility, since we've touched the money, to make sure that we send it out in an appropriate manner. We do that with every agency. The Hudson Valley, $3.5 million, the Hudson Valley Shakespeare money, that's not our money, but yet we're involved with the pass-through. That means we have to have the contract signed, the appropriate IMAs, if they're involved. They may not be, it may just be a contract, but we have to have that in place. And we would need the same paperwork here, just to protect the county.
Thanks, Bill.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Cassandra?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to start, before I say anything else, that thank you, the possible position. She is the legislative counsel, she is the county attorney, and also under the Soil and Water District law, she's our attorney. Trifecta, right? I haven't seen any argument against it. I haven't seen this legislature, I mean, once you knew that we weren't a random department, we weren't an advisory board, that you knew what we were because we literally did not let you not learn what we were. I haven't seen any opposition, right, on the fundamental of what it is. But even it was mentioned tonight, it's been this way since 1966. I would point out that this county, who has had control over this soil and water department, district, whatever it might be, every document ever said 1967. Myself and the vice chair who found out it was 1966. So I would say we're already correcting the record. We're already making soil and water conservation district and records more transparent and more accurate. I didn't want to join this board. I can assure all of you, when I showed up last year, I didn't know what the Soil and Water Conservation District was, what half of this was. I didn't want to read the operations manual. I didn't want to talk to Ag and Markets more than I talked to most of my friends and family, and I've seen you now more than most of them as well. I didn't want to do this. I, in February of 2025, wrote a letter to County Executive and to Chairwoman Sage, pointing out the fact that there was no chairperson, secretary, treasurer, or other required officers in direct violation of New York Soil and Water Conservation District Law Section 6. That the appointment of the, quote, chairman at the time was not a chairman. He served on the Ag Board, which then landed us in the jackpot we were in last year. I put all of this on record and I said, fix it. I didn't want to do this. I even threatened a lawsuit at that point because I said, just fix it. That was February 20th, 2025. I sent the email, no response. Everything else was going on, the ag lawsuit was going on, everything was going. And then when it didn't get corrected, I then put in my name, I watched to see when there would be a vacancy. And I joined the board. Solicited a guy who, I said, hey, you want to join Soil and Water? It seems like a really good program. He had been involved in agriculture. We didn't know what this was, and we jumped in and we learned. Dave Vickery, who is another member of our board who's going to be leaving, he sat while it was treated like a department. I was told by various offices in this county we were an advisory board. We were an advisory board, so I wouldn't say that that's a good stewardship of the money. We didn't know, the boards, even as enthusiastic as they wanted to be, did not know that they were a real thing. They didn't know that we had any authority to go do programs for the Lake District for invasive species that we send memos to Ag and Markets about, saying, please help us. That's what we're here for, but we can't get our funds. There's a confusion even with Cornell seedlings. We recently spent a lot of time even explaining to this legislature, right? Because you currently, right now, are responsible for those funds. It's not a state grant. It's we as a board, as 5 people, as volunteers, do a lot of work to, quote, check the boxes with New York State Soil and Water District state aid. We do those things. We do education and outreach. We do all those things. That's how we get the money. It's not a grant. It's not you're holding it and passing it through. This county, for whatever reason, since the beginning of time, beginning original resolution doesn't even show when we started holding the money as a county. But for whatever reason, that's the way it is. The problem is no one in this county has obviously really dug in until recent to even know that there are rules that govern those expenditures, that govern all of those things. The county has funded the seedling sale, to my knowledge, even this year. Our district manager said in our last meeting that it was just signed on by the Commissioner of DPW, the County Executive, and the Cornell Executive Director. That is something that this board came and told you repeatedly, endlessly, that this was money that our district funds should pay for, yet the county, to my knowledge, from what I've been told, is the one who's funding it this year. It's taxpayer dollars that are getting floated away when we agreed as a board and we fought to make sure that we funded that with our money. I have no problem with an IMA. The reason I can say that is because September is when I launched starting to push for an IMA. I wanted to do it ahead of budget so that we didn't get in the time where we hijacked all your budget meetings. Now we're hijacking your end of the year meeting. I'm sorry. I am tired. None of us wanted to do this, but we have put in more work, and poor Ms. Vesey has literally had to be the counsel for 3. It is impossible. If this continues on, there is a problem with those funds. I have asked repeatedly. So September 19th is when I sent the IMA. Now, not to her, it was to the legislative clerk, and then there was a lot of concern and confusion of how that happened. You have to go to the charter, it's written in the charter, that's how the Soil and Water District is, you're an advisory board, and it took us all this time, endlessly, to get to here. We are here now. We know it is 1966, not 1967. We know that the Soil and Water District law, that it is, the county cannot impede the funds. I would say if Cornell seedling sale is being funded by county money, that is an impediment of those funds, because we authorize those funds to be transferred. I have asked repeatedly. November 16th, I emailed to schedule a meeting. We have requested repeatedly to get just a bank statement printout of our district funds, because in February, we are responsible, not this legislature, to submit the reports to the state. Treasurer, we joke, of nothing. We need a bank statement, and we don't have it. And in February, if we don't fill out that treasurer's report accurately and completely, we are responsible, whether you're holding our funds or not. So I'm not comfortable because I haven't seen anything, I haven't gotten any document, we can't get any information on having our vice chair and treasurer sign a treasurer's report when we don't have anything. So I wanted the IMA. We have been hollering about this all year. And nobody can say we haven't. Ms. Vesey was put in a position where she is now because when the IMA just didn't go anywhere and it wasn't moving in any timely fashion to make it complete by this year-end meeting, because I do not have the energy to educate a new legislature. We really don't. We are volunteers. I then said, you know what, we were willing to cooperate and say, hey, you know what, let's do a little bit now, let's make everybody comfortable, even though it is well within the legal right for this district to ask for what we're asking for today. I was willing to compromise. We were all willing to compromise something, anything, some progress besides next year. That was the old adage of the Ag District, was come back next year. This is not going away, but the problem here is like we are getting no information. We are the ones responsible, and I can't see any reason why this cannot be passed to at least move this forward. You can amend it, you can do whatever you want, and it pushed the IMA. We wanted an IMA, that is fine, but an IMA also is for predominantly appropriations, things like that, but we want to outline the relationship between the county. We're trying to make a budget. How do we know if we're paying for pencils? Do we have a conference room? Do we have any support from personnel services? Do we reimburse? We've tried this. So I appreciate, that we want an IMA. We do, we're not opposed to that. But if you do this now, then this forces really the IMA, where we are all for transparency, accountability, you name it. We have done this since day one. But to say that the county should continue to be the responsible, when you are a responsible party, because it is in your funding accounts that you hold, that we don't even know, we have to post it. We are responsible, and in February, when that day comes, I'm not signing anything that says that I signed on to anything because I don't have any information, and I would advise everybody on our board to not do that either. And then that is a real pickle. That is a real legal quagmire. So there's a lot of words I have to say, but I have said as many as I can. I cannot be more assertive on this. I have, since February, documented every step of the way. And every step of the way, it's be patient. I've been very patient. We are volunteers. And this is a lot of money that has been held up from lake districts, from agriculture, from farmers, from everything. We are the laughingstock of other districts. And I really hope that you guys move in a productive way to correct that. It will get corrected. But I really hope this legislature will work with us instead of against us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Self-appointed treasurer of nothing. No, I want to clear up a couple things, and then I will do my best to keep it brief. I know it's been a long night, and I appreciate you guys. Number one, I would make the argument that we have been the most responsible when it comes to a fiduciary perspective of this money. I know these funds have been misused. And I'm not saying intentionally, I'm not saying with malicious intent, I'm going to be very clear about that, but we know they've been misused. We know they've been spent on things they shouldn't have been spent on. We know there's been conflation between the Soil and Water Conservation District Board and the Soil and Water Department of Putnam County. There's a question right now, if the funds that we came here, you voted on for Cornell seedling sale, we don't even know who's paying for that. You said we're paying for it, we want to pay for it because we want to save the taxpayers' money. There's a question if the taxpayers are still funding it. I would argue nobody has been more responsible for these funds in a fiduciary way than this current board. I'm not sure anyone in good faith could argue with me on that. And I sure hope nobody would try. Secondly, this has happened a few times, and in the last time I spoke about this in front of you, and I brought up and educated a lot of folks on Soil and Water Conservation District law, I talked a lot about how we're not an advisory board, okay? I want to also, I want to make this clear too, we are also not an outside agency. We are not the Hudson Valley Shakespeare. We are not the Women's Advisory Council, who are all amazing agencies. I'm glad that they were funded, but we are a municipality. That's a very important distinction to understand. You have oversight over nothing. And I say that with respect. You know, every single one of you sitting here knows I have admiration for you personally. So I don't say that disrespectfully. I say that factually. You have oversight over nothing. You cannot stop us from accessing the funds. You can only get in our way. Oversight is you can tell us no when we ask. That's oversight. You cannot do that. You cannot tell us no. And I would ask the Legislative Council to please confirm if that's true.
That is correct. It's a ministerial function. It's a pass-through. You don't have the ability to approve or disapprove. It's simply a ministerial function. And, New York State made it clear that they don't, if, for example, if the district had wanted our oversight because of our infrastructure and wanted that help, there's nothing wrong with that. We're allowed to work with them cooperatively to reach an agreement to that effect, but it would always be purely ministerial, and upon request, we would be obligated to give their fund.
And I would piggyback on that to say that isn't to say you don't have oversight. I've said this before in front of you. New York State built your oversight in. It is why, by law, 2 current sitting legislators must be on the board. That is not an option. We don't have the ability to do anything about that. That is the oversight the state built in. Not only do you have oversight in that way, your oversight extends that you determine who the other 3 members on the board are. It is this body that appoints those members. I was appointed to this board by you. That's where you could have told me no. Thankfully you didn't, unanimously. I like to throw that in, it was unanimous, I appreciate that. But I would tell you that's where your oversight is. And that's where your oversight ends. Once the board is in place, we operate as an independent municipality. Now, I understand the unique situation the county is operated in. Believe me, I feel the weight of it every day. You can hear it in my voice. I feel like I'm going through puberty again. And I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing from me. I'm sure some of you hoped on November 5th I'd go away, and here I am, December 18th. But what I will say to you is this, okay? The question of impeding came up. You are actively impeding this board. And I do not mean that, again, as an insult. I know a lot of this is education. I know a lot of this we are bringing to your feet at the very first time, so I don't fault you for this. But I am speaking to you in a reality. You are impeding the action of this board. I cannot make a budget until the IMA is done. Let's talk about the IMA. It has been sitting on the floor of this building for 7 days. 7 days. And until we find a way to get this resolution in front of you today, only then did members who reside on this floor make a call to the state to find out any information. That doesn't feel like you're trying to work with us. I don't mean this body, by the way. It feels like you're trying to slow walk me. It feels like you're trying to get in my way. And that's what this has felt like from the moment I joined this board. And again, I don't mean you in this legislature. I mean this government. 7 days that IMA has been sitting on the floor of this building as of today. And now I'm hearing we can't pass this until we get an IMA. Guys, this is what everybody hates about government. Let the record show, because I've been accused of hiding this in the past. I'm the Democrat, and I'm trying to get government out of the way. Again, not hiding. Guys, I'm begging you to work with me here, okay? This resolution, Mitsubishi worked on tirelessly in incredible amount of time. No one has been more willing to work with us than her. And every time we get close, an obstacle is put up. This does not give us the funds tomorrow, if you pass this tonight. It doesn't even put you in legal jeopardy. I believe the resolution even states that this really doesn't get consummated until there's an IMA in place. And until all the relevant parties, Commissioner Carlin included, thank God, sign off on it. What this does is guarantee it moves forward. Right now it is stuck in place. How many things have to come before this body where you are forced to keep it stuck in place? You should have an IMA in front of you right now. It's not your fault you don't, but you're backed into a corner again. At some point, this body's got to stop letting that happen. I apologize for my volume, only slightly, but I don't know what else to say here. The law is clear. The mechanisms are clear. Our Soil and Water Conservation District Board is united in this effort. There has been no opposition from our board to move this forward. All you guys have to do is say yes. And it starts the clock. And make sure the obstacles stop being thrown in front of us. We're not stupid. We know why this is getting kicked to January. Let's be clear about that. So what I would ask you to do, please use your common sense. Please use your knowledge and understanding that this doesn't give us the funds tomorrow. There are safeguards built in place. But what this does is allow us to serve the people in a way we have not been allowed to do. And that, at the end of the day, at some point, Putnam County's government's got to get back to making that the main priority. Thank you.
We're going to go to Nancy, then I'm going to wrap it up to move it out of committee. To the extent any of the legislators have any comments, we could probably discuss it. I want to go to you now, but assuming I'm going to go for it, assuming it gets to the full, if there's any further comment by a legislator, maybe we'll do that at the full.
Okay, do you want?
Please,
well,
feel
I
free,
just,
yeah.
I want to, what I learned tonight here in this room, just want to, I feel terrible that I assumed that this was worked on. So Councilor BC, I hope you'll accept my apology for that. I think this is a great resolution. I think it's sound. I think it complies with New York State law. I don't see any problem with it. You have to assess that risk. I have to assess the risk to our fiscal health. And I think holding on to this money jeopardizes our fiscal health. I think it's a liability. We just heard the uncertainty of how funds are being spent or unknown for certain things. Again, on my board meeting last night with the Fish and Wildlife Board, I will follow up on this. I was on that meeting until very late last night. I heard something about the immense amount of money we spent in stocking and shocking and something that didn't need to be done. I'm assuming maybe soil and water funds were spent on that. Come to find out from this DEC board, we could get funding from that, for that, from the DEC. So I think hanging on to this money is a big risk for us. What I learned tonight was that soil and water districts are independent. They're governed by their own board. They're authorized to manage their own money. They're authorized to manage their own operations and finances. This is not a county department. We have just been custodians of this money for convenience, and now it is leaving us way too exposed. So I think because this transfer requires risk management, final paperwork from our Commissioner of Finance, probably final approval from us, no, but it's gonna require a lot of steps before we can release this money anyway. So I think what we're doing tonight is reducing the risk to the county and allowing the district to function as the law allows. So let's do it. That, I'm not handing money to an organization being fiscally irresponsible. What I'm doing as a Democrat is being fiscally responsible here by getting this money where it belongs and reducing our risk.
I think there's a lot of value in this resolution. Greg, you brought this forward. Would you like to move it?
I move this resolution for approval to the full.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery?
Yes.
Chairman Birmingham?
Yes. Seeing there's no other business, I don't believe there's any other business before the committee. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. You got something? Yeah, I'm going to grab it.
evening, and welcome to the year-end meeting of the Putnam County Legislature, December 18th, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I'll ask Legislator Montgomery to please lead us. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please remain standing for the legislative prayer, and I'd like to ask Legislator Elner to please lead us.
We seek blessings on the tasks before us. Bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality.
Roll call, please.
District 1, Legislator Montgomery.
Here.
District 2, Legislator Goulman. District 3, Legislator Adnesio.
Present.
District 4, Legislator Russo. District 5, Legislator Elner.
Here.
District 6, Legislator Yaki.
Present.
District 7, Legislator Birmingham.
Here.
District 9, Legislator Crowley. District 8, Chairwoman Sage.
Present. All right. We'll begin this evening with our pre-filed resolutions, and we'll start with our Personnel Committee, and I'll call on the Chair of that committee, Legislator Yonke.
Thank you, Chairwoman Sage. On behalf of legislators Adnesio, Goulman, and myself, I'd like to move forward with item 4A. It's the approval of 2026 salaries for officers and employees paid from county funds.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Item 4B is the approval of the fund transfer for the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. It's cover overtime through the end of the year.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Item 4C is the approval of a fund transfer, Putnam County Sheriff's Office. It's correctional facility, cover overtime from the month of August.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Item 4D is the approval of a fund transfer, Putnam County Sheriff's Office Correctional Facility, cover overtime from the month of September.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Item 4E is the approval of a fund transfer, Sheriff's Office Correctional Facility, cover overtime from the month of October.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Item 4F is the approval of a budgetary amendment. I'm sorry?
Your committee.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, thank you.
You can tell I didn't want to put the brakes on.
Somebody wants to get out of here. I'm just going to buzz through everything. At this time, I'd like to call on Legislator Yonke, Chair of our Protective Services Committee.
Thank you again, Chairwoman Sage. On behalf of legislators Adnesio, Birmingham, and myself, I'd like to move item 4F is the approval of a budgetary amendment for the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. It's the inmate commissary funds to purchase a classification printer and additional accessories.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'd like to call on Legislator Elner, Chair of the Fiscal Services Committee.
Thank you, Chairman Sage. On behalf of fellow legislators Yonke and Crowley, we have 5 items here. First one is the budgetary amendment for planning. It's for development of public transportation, 2 FTA grants in the amount of $105,091.
Discussion on this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Item 4H is 4H, that's good, okay. Approval for budgetary amendment for the Commissioner of Planning. This is a unified work program. This has 0 fiscal impact. We're moving money to and fro capital fund, total amount $250,075.11.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
4I is approval of a fund transfer for DPW. This was discussed in physical. It's $1,500 to replace some animal trusses, no fiscal impact.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
4J is the approval of a lease agreement. It's a renewal for the Special Victims Unit facility.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Last item, the physical is 4K. This is the improved agricultural district inclusion criteria from Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you to everybody who worked on that. That's all I wanted to say. You know who you are.
Okay, thank you. Now, excuse me, moving on to the Audit Administration Committee. As chair of this committee, and on behalf of Legislators Birmingham and Crowley, I'd like to bring forward agenda item number 4L. This is an approval to renew the contract for our outside auditors. This is with O'Connor Davies. Discussion on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 4M. This is an approval for budgetary amendment for the Commissioners of the Board of Elections to recognize a grant from the New York State for electronic poll books that we just used in our past election. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
4N, this is an approval for fund transfer. This is for mental health, social services, and youth bureau. These are funds for the Child Advocacy Center partnership with the Women's Resource Center to fill in for funds that were not included in the original funding, in the amount of $116,836. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
And item 4O. This is an approval for a budgetary amendment from Finance. This is year-end journal entry, the first of several, I'm sure, wish to come. This is accounting just for to close out the books for 2025. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 4P. This is a budgetary amendment for mental health, social services, and youth bureau. This is to adjust the mental health state aid levels in the amount of $5,000. This is for our loss team. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'd like to call on Legislator Birmingham, Chair of the Rules, Enactments, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of myself and this evening, Legislators Elner and Montgomery, we have 4 items for this agenda. I will be asking Legislator Elner to sit in and move item 4S on behalf of the committee because of my refusal, which I'll go into. Item 4P, approval budgetary amendment, mental health, social services, and youth bureau, adjust mental health state aid levels.
Discussion on 4Q. All in favor?
Aye. Item 4R, approval local law, Chapter 25, Article 6, entitled Transportation Advisory Council.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye. Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Legislator Elner to move the next one on behalf of the committee.
Thank you for yielding. Item 4S is approval for the Sheriff's Office, an intermunicipal agreement between Putnam County Sheriff's Office and Westchester County.
Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Adenizio?
Yes.
Legislator Birmingham?
Want to abstain? My firm represents one of the parties to the council, to the contract.
Legislator Crowley? Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Goulman? Legislator Yonke?
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery?
Yes.
Legislator Russo? Chairwoman Sage?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The final item for the Rules Committee is item 4T, a local law changing the charter to provide for a council to the majority of the county legislature and a council to the minority of the county legislature, moved on behalf of the committee.
Discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Adenizio?
Yes.
Legislator Birmingham?
Yes.
Legislator Crowley? Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Goulman? Legislator Yonke?
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery?
Yes.
Legislator Russo? Chairwoman Sage?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
That's all we have for the committee, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to move on to other business, because we have some other business here before us this evening. Excuse me. Agenda item 5A is an approval for tax collector warrants to enter into 2025 public proceedings. This is something that we do every year. It's just to enter these into the public proceedings. Is there discussion on this?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll be voting in favor of this. It is a ministerial action. We're merely placing the warrants in our book of proceedings. You've already signed them, is my understanding, or that you will be signing them?
After the meeting.
After the meeting. The only reason I made comment on this is, as you know, two or three of the municipalities are represented by my firm for limited parameters, not having anything to do with this. Just wanted to disclose that, but since it's a ministerial action, I'll be voting in favor of it. Or voting on it, and we'll be voting in favor of it. Just wanted to put that in there.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 5B is an approval for the date and time, place for our 2026 organizational meeting. The date has been set to be held on Tuesday, January 6th, 2026 at 7 p.m. at the Historic Courthouse in Carmel, New York. Discussion.
That's an interesting date.
January 6th.
Okay, just saying.
We will be at the courthouse on January 6th, most of us.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 5C. This is approval, an appointment of our legislative clerk. This is to vote on Diane Trabulski as our legislative clerk. She was filling out the term of Diane Schoenfeld. Previously, last year, Diane has been working in the legislative office for 20 years, and all of the term of legislative clerk Schoenfeld, she's been the deputy. I think she's well respected. She's got a lot of knowledge, and certainly knows that to the legislation. I'm very happy that she's decided to agree to stay here. That I'll ask for discussion.
Yeah, I would also like to thank Diane for taking this on. I've known her for many years, and she's not only a professional, but she's also a great person. She treats all of us equally, and I would just like to make a comment about, a very good comment about why we appoint these positions to terms. It's a 3-year term, much like our auditor as well. The reason for that is because this is a professional office. Not only does Diane head this office as our clerk, but she hires people who are also professionals who day in and day out and week in and week out assist this legislature. And the reason this is a term position because it gives continuity to the office, and also, quite frankly, gives almost a property right to the holder of this position, in the sense that we've switched, believe it or not, parties on this legislature twice in its 45-year history. In each of those times, the professional staff has remained the same. We have not let politics, whether it was the Democrats coming in or the Republicans taking back over, dictate who our professional staff is. And I think that speaks volumes to their professionalism over the years, and certainly speaks volumes to the professionalism of the current staff we have. So I'm very happy to support this, and I'm very happy that Diane has agreed to join us. Continue to be with us. Continue to be with us. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'll miss you.
Legislator Young.
I think it's great that one of my last votes will be to support you, Diane. We've worked together now for 9 years, and it's really been a wonderful experience. You're a total pro, and you're the perfect fit for this job. And it's appropriate that one of my last votes is to support you here. And I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you. I fully support you, Diane. As you know, I would like to thank you for your professionalism. I've had the honor of working with you for the past 11 years, which I cannot believe, 11 years. And You're very professional and always helpful, and I'm glad you're staying on.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all been said, but I do know what more I can say. There are so many nuances, as far as having our backs and calling us and, saying, you want to say that when you write this letter, or, the front line to our constituents and the public, because they call here first. And, you always treat our public with the utmost respect, even on those difficult calls. And I'm just really happy to continue this with you. I've learned a lot from you, and I always feel very comfortable and that you have my back. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
And thanks for your wonderful staff, too. Ed.
You're welcome.
Yes. Legislator Elder.
Like Paul said, it's given me a lot to be to cast one of my last votes to support you. You have been excellent, and you and the entire staff who you employ function with a degree of excellence. I will miss you, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Greg.
And for me personally, there's nothing, without, I know we have this vote tonight, without legislative counsel, without, we've had to rely heavily on our clerk to help guide us through these past several months. And again, we've done it flawlessly, professionally, and always with the heart of the legislature in mind. And again, like as Legislator Montgomery said, you protect us, you help us. And just another note, the reason we appoint a legislative clerk in December is so that at the organizational meeting, we have a legislative clerk already in place to help us, guide us through the organizational meeting. So when our new legislators come on board, they're going to be ready to go, and they're going to get the advisement from and help from our legislative clerk. So I'm very happy to support Diane Trabolsi for this position. And with that, I will say everyone in favor.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to add other business to the more other business. We have, I'd like to add other business that we voted on previously. Do I have a second to add?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So I would like to make a motion. Let's see, put out front. It's 5D. Yeah. 5C was legislative part. 5D, this is an approval for a fund transfer. This is for the Department of Public Works for the automotive supplies and expenses. I'd like to make a motion to approve this agenda item.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Also have here, agenda item, I'd like to also add, make a motion to add agenda item 5E to the agenda, other business.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 5E is the approval for the soil and water funds transfer resolution that was previously discussed in the Rules Committee. Discussion?
Well, you think you have to move it? We just
Well,
move to accept. Maybe Craig will move.
I will, yeah, I'll ask.
I move that we accept 5E, other business.
You're moving the item.
You're moving the item
You're
itself,
moving the item.
yes.
Yes.
Is there a second? Second.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, please.
Legislator Adenizio?
Yes.
Legislator Birmingham?
Yes.
Legislator Crowley? Legislator Elner?
Yes.
Legislator Goulman? Legislator Yonke?
Yes.
Legislator Montgomery?
Yes.
Legislator Russo? Chairwoman Sage?
No.
Motion carries.
Because I want an item. Motion carries. Congratulations, Soil and Water. And with that, I would like to recognize the public on agenda items, please. anyone wishing to speak can come up to the podium and state your name and should reside. Agenda item you wish to respond to.
We'll keep it brief. It's on other business 5E. Want to just mention that this is the last official business for Soil and Water, not just for the year, but for our current board member, Dave Vickery. He will be leaving the board at the end of this year. You guys have already likewise appointed his replacement. So I just wanted to give a note to Dave Vickery, who has served Putnam County as a volunteer in numerous roles. Not only is he on the Soil and Water Board, but he's also on the Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board. And so I just want to give a nod to him as his term on this board comes to an end. As a new member on this board since July, having someone with his wisdom, his experience, and his institutional knowledge has been invaluable to me as I look to navigate on. Honestly, this is the first board I've ever sat on. So as Dave leaves, I feel just want to give him a debt of gratitude as a volunteer to this county. He is the epitome of a Putnam County resident. We are all lucky legislators and the public alike to have had him representing us on these various boards. So just a thank you to Dave Vickery, and then obviously thank you for fixing this.
You had to leave something out, so I had to. Sorry. Super quick. I never thought I would stand here saying I would miss Greg Elder and Paul Yockey. I really didn't think that day would come last year when we were here, but it is wild, this long journey of soil and water and ag. But I do want to thank you guys for, I don't know, hopefully, no offense, I will not see any of you until the new year. But I did also really wanted to take the time to thank Greg for, being on the board, and Laura as well, but for being on the board and really for making sure this got pushed forward and making sure we were heard. I can say a lot of words, I don't want to, we all want to go home, I get it, and I love it, but I can't thank you all enough. And Nancy, I read your quote in the paper, which words I cannot repeat here, about the way our soil and water district was years ago. And that is partially what, launched me to say, like, we need to fix this. And luckily we've had a really good board, which I hope Greg is super bored and comes to our soil and water board meetings, because we would love to see him. But just thank you all.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, real quick, I just wanted to thank and congratulate Paul and Greg, even though there's no food here.
Yeah. But, we had that already.
I still believe public service is a noble calling, and I thank you both for stepping up to the challenge. And also, 5C, I want to congratulate you and Diane, because we talk a lot here about the independence, but a lot of the truth is the collaboration between the administration and Diane and her staff and Michelle Alfano-Sharkey and her staff is paramount to the success of the county. And they do a fine job, and they do the day-to-day stuff that makes all the stuff that the rest of the third floor do happen. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to legislative recognition of legislators. Legislator Birmingham.
Yeah, I'm sure I won't be the last to say this, but I want to say thank you to Greg and, of course, to Paul. I'm upset that I've only been able to serve with you for 1 year, but I'm happy to have had that year to serve with you. I trust and I hope your public service and public input will not end. I don't think it will end. And I just wanted to thank you for being honest and hardworking colleagues. Going to miss you guys sitting up here, so thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Legislator Adamizio.
I would also like to thank Paul and Greg for their service, their public service, Putnam County, including your respect for the democratic process. And I wish you both all the happiness and all future endeavors, and you will be missed. It's going to be hard next year.
Anyone else? Legislator Montgomery.
Yes. I think at times maybe I'm envious of Legislator Birmingham, and that he only had to serve 1 year with you guys, but we've come a long.
This is my last meeting.
But seriously, this is not an easy job. And what I noticed about both of you is that you are true public servants. You care about your communities, you care about the county. You know, and in the end, despite hiccups and disagreements, and maybe even sometimes working together and agreeing, you know, it's been fun. I learned a lot, and I'm really grateful for both of you. Thank you, and good luck to you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Legislator Yonke.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody. It's been a fun night. Some of it's been fun. Most of it's been fun, the 9 years. But, you know, I look back and, you know, I was fortunate that I had the support to be the chairman of this legislature for 2 terms. And during that time, we cut taxes. We cut the tax levy by $500,000, and we diverted the funds that were going to go into God knows what. And it's held true for 3 years that we've saved the taxpayers that $500,000, and that gets overlooked. During my tenure, I was fortunate enough where I voted for a sales tax cut, and when the county executive vetoed our resolution, I was the only one that voted to override that veto. During my tenure, I feel I've supported law enforcement as chairman of protective services for quite a few years, and you know, by that I think we made Putnam County a safer place to live. I think my support for the health department has made Putnam County a healthier place to live. During my term as chair, we started the live streaming, and I think that's something that's good and bad, I guess. And you know, during my time, we went through COVID, and we all had to learn how to operate under very difficult circumstances. And I think we all did a good job, and I think we should all be proud of, you know, our time of service here. And I'm looking forward to retiring. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I mean, I just want to begin by saying, and we have our Soil and Water Board and our ag advocates here tonight, and I just want to thank you all for your perseverance, your self-education, and your persistence in getting this forward. Even though I didn't vote for it, I'm looking forward to the IMA, and that's what I'm looking for. And you guys made it happen. You guys pushed it forward. So I'd just like to thank you all so much for making this happen. I'm 100% in favor. I just want to say the IMA. But thank you for your passion in farming and soil and water, protecting our environment here in Putnam County. And, you know, I saved the best for last. My colleagues here on the legislature here, Legislator Elner, I know I've been able to work with you the past 3 years. You're a fireball. You're not afraid to say what you want to say. You're not afraid to bring up issues that are difficult and things that are hard to talk about. You have guts. You only have your constituents laser focused in your head. You live in the hamlet, which I've grown to understand is quite important. To have someone looking over people in the hamlet in this part, because I'm in Manpack, I'm just on the other side of the town. Anyway, I will miss working with you, whether I agreed with you or not, whether my jaw fell down. What did you just say now? I thank you for your passion and for helping us all to see maybe some things a little differently. And I thank you for your friendship as well. And Legislator Yonke, I've worked with you for the past, I've been on 8 years now in my work. This is I'm finishing up my 8th year. Again, like I've said previously, when Paul ran for chair of the legislature, I voted no. Because I was trying to be chair too. So I voted no. So we frequently butted heads, but we've always remained colleagues. We've always been respectful. We've always been able to pick up the phone and call one another. And I respect his opinion so much. And I'd also like to say that he was fiercely supportive of cutting taxes. He knows anything you ever want to know about property taxes, how to lower them for the benefit of the taxpayer. For those of us who are paying these huge property taxes here in Putnam County, you know that the county portion is the smallest of your property taxes. And you know, we do owe some of that to Legislator Yawkey. He's brought some things to our attention, like that $500,000 that we were going to just pass off. So, you know, I thank you for your friendship, your wisdom, and the ability to agree and disagree through the years, because I think that's what democracy is all about. It's about sharing of ideas. It's not about agreeing and steamrolling. It's about discussion in the public. And I think that's exactly what we have done on this legislature this year. I think we've done a heck of a job here. And I think that's to the benefit of all of our constituents. And with that, I wish, Eleanor, I'm going to give you the last word, because this is...
I want to thank every single person in this room. It's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know and serve with you, not just the legislators, the public out here in the gallery. We have some very concerned and excellent residents. It's been my honor to serve. And one thing which I will tell all the new legislators coming in, you better have an open mind. Because the preconceived notions which people come into this legislature, I'm going to say at least 3/4 of the time you're wrong. When you get here, you need to listen, and you need to listen intently, and then you need to do whatever you think is the right thing to do. I leave here knowing that I've done whatever I thought was right. If it got me into trouble, so what? I sleep at night because it was the right thing. I wanted to make a difference. I know it made a difference. And the last thing is, this is Paul Yankey's idea. I want to remind everybody here. We all voted to put $6.5 million into contingency so we can lower taxes approximately $200 for every owner-occupied home. And I'd like to see all you guys continue that fight and get it done. With that, happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. Everybody be safe. It's been a hell of a ride. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Happy holidays.